For industrial designers, the ultimate target looks something like this: hardware built for infinite modularity, where a failing component is cleanly isolated and swapped, rather than forcing the consumer to discard the entire machine. In 2015, France tried to force this reality into existence. Under the Energy Transition for Green Growth Act, it became the first country in the world to officially criminalize planned obsolescence. French lawmakers codified a strict definition into consumer law, targeting any technique where a manufacturer deliberately reduces a product's life to increase its replacement rate. The legislation was designed to intimidate corporate boards. For individual executives, a conviction carried a penalty of up to 2 years in prison and a €300,000 fine. For corporations, the financial threat was even steeper. Fines could be scaled up to 5% of a company's average annual turnover, proportionate to the benefits gained from the deception. Yet, despite the harsh penalties and severe regulatory threats, actual criminal convictions for the strict crime of planned obsolescence are virtually non-existent. The legislation failed in practice because of a legal requirement built into its core. Prosecutors have to prove deliberate corporate intent, and proving malicious engineering intent in a courtroom is a functional impossibility. Now, a massive regulatory pivot is rewriting the rules of hardware manufacturing. The 2026 European Union Right to Repair Directive takes an entirely different approach. Instead of attempting to prosecute executives after a product fails in the market, the EU framework enforces proactive structural constraints directly at the engineering bench. To understand why the EU bypassed the courtroom, we have to look at the 3 criteria a French prosecutor must prove to secure a conviction. The French Consumer Code lays out a sequence of 3 strict legal hurdles. Step 1 is the material element. Investigators must identify the specific technical trick or mechanism used to shorten the lifespan. Step 2 requires proving that this mechanism actually resulted in an increased replacement rate for that device in the consumer market. Step 3 is the fatal roadblock, the intentional element. The prosecutor must prove the company deliberately designed the product to fail. This creates an impenetrable loophole. When a prosecutor points to a design choice that limits lifespan, corporate lawyers can easily defend it as a necessary measure for user safety or quality control. When the French consumer group HOP filed complaints against printer manufacturers, they pointed to microchecks that blocked cartridges before they were completely empty. The manufacturers effectively neutralized the claim. They argued the blocking chips were not malicious, but a necessary quality control measure to prevent dry ink from permanently destroying the printheads. This exact defense scales up to the largest tech companies in the world, most notably during the high-profile Apple Batterygate case of 2020. Following user complaints, French authorities investigated Apple for distributing software updates that severely throttled the processors on iPhones with degraded older batteries. Apple defended the code by framing it as a feature, not a bug. They argued the CPU throttling was designed to extend the phone's usability by preventing random shutdowns during high power draws. Because authorities could not definitively prove malicious intent, they bypassed the planned obsolescence charge entirely. Apple was instead fined €25 million for deceptive commercial practices, simply for failing to inform users about the slowdown. Hardware longevity cannot be regulated by a judge because subjective intent is an unworkable standard for prosecuting complex engineering decisions. Acknowledging this failure, the regulatory theater has shifted from national courts to a continent-wide legislative framework. The 2026 EU Right to Repair Directive achieves its power by linking directly to a companion framework, the Eco-Design for Sustainable Products Regulation, or ESPR. This creates a new foundational axiom for consumer electronics. Market entry now requires strict physical compliance at the factory door, bypassing the need to deduce corporate intent entirely. The first pillar of this system is mechanical design for disassembly. Under ESPR, permanent chemical bonding and ultrasonic welding are stripped out of consumer product enclosures wherever possible. Designers must default to modular architectures, secured by threaded brass inserts, and standardized machine screws, like universal Torx heads, that can be undone multiple times. The legal threshold is absolute. If an independent repair shop cannot access and remove internal components with readily available standard tools, the product is classified as legally defective from day one. The second pillar addresses the modern frontier of hardware degradation, software obsolescence, specifically by banning the practice of part pairing. Part pairing is the technique of digitally serializing components to a specific motherboard. Even if you install a genuine replacement part, the device uses encrypted handshakes to detect the mismatch and disable features. This cryptographic barrier prevents the motherboard from communicating with unauthorized hardware, disabling device features even if the replacement component is physically identical to the original. The ESPR mandate forbids this. Firmware must be structured to dynamically accept aftermarket and secondhand parts without restricting device capabilities. The third pillar forces an overhaul of product lifecycle management and inventory forecasting. Manufacturers are required to keep spare parts and diagnostic software available for 5 to 10 years after the final unit leaves the factory floor. For large white goods like refrigerators, that window stretches to a strict 10-year minimum. These mechanical and logistical mandates effectively reclassify unrepairable hardware as non-compliant trade goods, stripping away access to the single market before a product ever reaches a consumer. Because modern electronics rely on highly integrated global supply chains, it is cost-prohibitive for global hardware brands to fork separate, less repairable production lines strictly for non-EU markets. This forces neighboring markets to rapidly adapt to the new European standard. The UK government recently introduced Statutory Instrument 2026-750, formally extending Great Britain's recognition of the EU's CE mark for eco-design standards. This streamlines compliance across borders, meaning British engineering firms must treat modular design and repairability as mandatory technical baselines for any product slated for export. The ESPR framework also bridges the gap between physical hardware and digital architecture by introducing the Digital Product Passport. To comply with long-term support mandates, firmware and mechanical teams are building open-source repositories. Companies are preparing official .step or .stl CAD files for public release. Supplying these exact dimensional files allows consumers and independent technicians to legally 3D print non-critical cosmetic or structural components right in their own local shops. For the manufacturer, this eliminates the massive logistical burden of warehousing thousands of unique plastic housings and brackets for a decade. Anti-obsolescence compliance now reaches deep into IT infrastructure, altering software deployment pipelines and establishing a new global standard for data transparency. In just over a decade, consumer protection has evolved from the flawed 2015 French legal experiment to a sweeping set of CAD engineering mandates. Trying to deduce malicious intent in a product's lifecycle proved impossible when companies could simply point to quality control and software stability as their defense. The structural solution bypasses the lawyer and targets the engineer, enforcing objective mechanical standards, open firmware, and specific fastener types before a product ever ships. Designing for failure now triggers immediate market exclusion. What was once an unprovable corporate strategy is now a liability documented through fastener audits and firmware reviews. The future of hardware design relies on proactive compliance. The 2026 framework ensures that a product's lifespan is determined by its certification. Longevity is now a hard technical requirement, verified on the factory floor. In just over a decade, consumer protection has evolved from the flawed 2015 French legal experiment to a sweeping set of CAD engineering mandates. Trying to deduce malicious intent in a product's lifecycle proved impossible when companies could simply point to quality control and software stability as their defense. The structural solution bypasses the lawyer and targets the engineer, enforcing objective mechanical standards, open firmware, and specific fastener types before a product ever ships. Designing for failure now triggers immediate market exclusion. What was once an unprovable corporate strategy is now a liability documented through fastener audits and firmware reviews. The future of hardware design relies on proactive compliance. The 2026 framework ensures that a product's lifespan is determined by its certification rather than a jury. Longevity is now a hard technical requirement, verified on the factory floor.